This deck was sent to the discard pile and thrown off the meta, only to come back with a new breath in Fort Worth and prove it hasn't sung its last song. So grab your sword and join us in a whole new world as we go for an encore performance of one of the original meta decks, Steelsong. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Ink Spilled Glimmers. In the beginning, Ravensburger created the ink and the glimmers, and the meta was without form and void. Then, out of the darkness emerged two decks, destined to battle until the end of times. As the sets went on, they fought hard and relentlessly, until set 4 came along, and the relics of the past made way for ice blocks and squirrels. Last week, we saw that even though it was down, Ruby Amethyst was able to get back on its feet and climb back the meta ladder to reclaim its former glory. But when one of the champions shows its head, we should know that the other isn't far behind. At the 4th Championship, Steelsong managed to get 2 of the 4 top spot, including a finisher in top 2, and proving the archetype to be viable at the highest level. As the name of the deck implies, the main strategy of the list is to sing a lot of bangers and rock out to 20 lore. To that intent, the list has a lot of characters able to sing earlier than intended, and a compilation of Disney's greatest hits. The difference that we've seen in Fort Worth is that the deck took a turn to guarantee some recurring lore in order to hinder the control decks when trying to deal with them. So how are the Mr. Smee, Cinderella Stout-Hearted, and Bare Necessities that define the deck in set 3? And in comes a few more answers. The deck we're analyzing today comes to us courtesy of Chris Coy, who finished second in the last DLC. To achieve this result, Chris relied on the Sleepy's Flute variant of the deck. With very little item removal in sight and a lot of control, the ability to gain lore of every one of your song usually makes the difference between finishing the game at 18 or 20. The main change that was made to the previous set was the addition of Balu, Void Brew involved the 13th. The goal of the card is similar to the Flute, provide guaranteed lore to the deck to counter the very controlling meta. With very little Sapphire removal in the meta, Balu is almost guaranteed to be removed by being banished, which guarantees an extra 2 lore even when he doesn't make it to the next turn, while also providing a buddy that survives the Let the Storm Rage On from the discard deck, and that protects the singers through Bodyguard. Apart from Balu, the other main addition to the deck is Lawrence, Jealous Manservant. This 3-cost 2-lore quester enters with 4 strength, making him a strong defense against Flynn Rider Frenemy, and someone that can trade with Sisu, Emboldened Warrior. Also joining in since the beginning of set 4 is Ursula Vanessa. As a singer 4, she can sing every song, apart from Grab Your Sword and The Whole New World, and her 4 willpower means she's hard to remove early through challenge. This is an advantage that we're very likely to see a lot more of in set 4 through a certain deck. Add 17 songs to the mix, and you have a very efficient deck that is ready to reclaim the meta. That's the tech, that's the deck. Now let's join Alexandru for the matches and commentary. So the pure steel matchup here. Hopefully we won't see what I saw this weekend, which is all 4 Cogsworth on the Sapphire Steel side against Steelsong.
All 4 of them?
Yep, in 4 turns.
This is just brutal.
Turns 4, 5, 6, and 7, just 4 Cogsworth against Steelsong.
I would qualify it even as a war crime.
But the guy did went on to win the set championship, so...
Oh, that's fine, that's fine. If you are playing those kind of really strong lines, you are allowed to just win your set championship. That's fine.
So here, definitely the hardest matchup, I think, for Steelsong, because facing a ton of removal from Sapphire Steel, a deck that also runs A Whole New World, and that, you know, will have a bunch of the tools or be able to find them.
Yeah, here it's really hard to decide on what angle you want to attack, because you can be aggressive, but they have good ways to deal with your small creatures with their steel cards. If you want to get a more iterative route with items and whatnot, it's probably not going to be fast enough for their really explosive end. It's not a winning battle, let's say.
Yeah, no. And we even see, I think, in this version of the list, no item removal at all, which is a first for Steelsong since Sapphire has come into the portrait.
I know some versions try and play Benja or whatnot, but it's a spot that sometimes you cannot afford
Yeah.
expending for.
It's a tech for 1 or 2 decks. It's easily cuttable. So clearly, in the Fort Worth tournament, the choice was made that they were not going to face that many Sapphire Steel, probably. Being teched more towards Sapphire Ruby and Bucky.
Well, those were the clear winners from Bochum.
Yep. Hear him here, drawing the cards.
So I think here it's quite interesting. Well, interesting. I want to say we would really like to be using that whole new world with the Robin to be able to refill the hand and do something with our resources. The problem is there's a Fishbone Quill on the board.
Yeah, the opponent is almost empty-handed already, so you don't want to refill their hand.
No.
They're up on resources already.
They're just going to draw more.
So here Lawrence coming down and
Queen.
playing the queen in the aerial. So just trying to go wide, find answers, none of which are in the top 4.
Well, we have a few answers in hand. Well, answers. I want to say we have one answer and the whole new world if that Hiram decides to go questing. But it's still a lot of value, a lot of card advantage being accumulated for Sapphire Steel.
But next turn we still have, Free Ink, Zeus, Whole New World, and then still having all the ink available. But here, that's not going to be the case with Robin and the Queen both going away to that grab your sword and then along comes Zeus.
Yeah, not even drawing a card off the Robin. Here, I think the whole new world becomes more and more tempting. You see a Tinkerbell, which is
But not the ink to play it.
yeah. We're still far off playing it. We're gonna ink it and probably try and deploy that second Robin Hood.
Yeah. Trying to have it live a turn, or no, just sing a Whole New World right there. Oh, no, sing Zeus.
Sing Zeus to
Damaging the Hiram,
to threaten
opening the door to good counterplay.
Yep. What we're gonna do probably on next turn is show them the world, so they can tell them what their heart decided.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to do some puns in this video, particularly with all the songs and me knowing them by heart, basically.
To be fair, one of them that is used the most and that I had to search a lot for is Grab Your Sword.
Yeah, this is from Beauty and Beast.
Oh, I know where it's from, but where in the song they say it is...
It's only a line, because that's the thing. Sometimes it's only lines from a song, like, and then Along Came Zeus is from the Gospel of Truth, which is the opening act in Hercules.
Yep.
So we find the flute. We're gonna sing the
Whole New World and get the lore.
We see another one. So here it might be interesting to start considering the mill plan, because the blue deck is gonna draw a whole lot with their Flaversham.
Yep, and they have removal thanks to their Ariel being out, and they also play quite a bit of songs. So
yeah, the Ariel being super dangerous on that board. We can just point a Zeus on the Rapunzel, activate the Ariel on the smaller Ariel. God, is it a case of stop hitting yourself? Stop hitting yourself.
we might be seeing. Oh, it's almost the same thing. It's a let it go with the extra cost to take it out. So yeah, Ariel board wiping by herself.
Yeah, well, I think we're still playing the Channels version.
Yep.
I'm gonna say with the Ariel Sonic Warrior, which is one of our favorite cards here from set 4.
This is the Sapphire Song version for sure.
Yeah.
And here,
it's really
coming out.
and it really does shine in this kind of matchup where there are a lot of bodies on the board and you're able to do a whole lot of cleanup with your aerial.
Definitely better against the more aggro and mid-range decks, even if it doesn't always shine in the control matchup.
Yeah, well, it's just a bit slow, and and the control decks tend to have really good ways to deal with her. I'm thinking of Madame Medusa, of Maleficent Dragon, of Let It Go. Like they have a lot of ways.
Big Sisu and Ice Block, there's options. That's not a problem.
Yeah. Yeah, here it looks kind of grim for the Steelsong player. Still quite low on lore. Facing a really threatening board. I don't think this is a battle we can really win. Well, at least we see a lot of flutes, which can be... I think
can be pressure, because they don't have a lot of... Well, with the Aerial and the Smee, they have like two questers.
Yeah, so here what I think we should try and do is just deploy the whole new world and go on that mill plan I was referring to.
Yeah, that might be the solution. Oh, or just take the Tink to banish the harem. Oh no, grab. Same general idea of banishing the harem, limiting the card draw a little bit.
Well, we get the lore from the flutes. That's why we did it this way. But I understand that we still kind of want to play what we have in hand, not to just throw it in the bin.
I would have loved to see the Tink just to be able to sing, but they have a lot of removal. They could have removed her prior to...
Yeah, the play was too risky.
Yeah. And here, Tamatoa coming out, bringing back the 40 Sphere.
That is the other thing about the whole new world. You never really get rid of any item in that deck. Even if you see them discarding their lucky dime, as soon as Tamatoa comes down, they're gonna grab it right back.
Yeah. Luckily for us, Set 5 has some solutions in Sapphire to deal with items in a more permanent fashion.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna see with Bucky leaving the meta, and I think this was the general sense of why those erratas were made to the card. It's probably gonna open up the meta quite a bit.
Yeah. But some of those more aggressive decks will be able to get their footing and get going, whereas mid-range was pretty much dead in the water before that if you were not playing Bucky.
Yeah. I for sure will... Oh, we're deciding to run the Tinkerbell here.
Removing 2 characters.
Well, we're stemming the bleeding a little bit, but that Tamatoa is still quite bothersome. The Aerial is still there to probably be able to deal with both cards again. Again, with the line of Zeus and activating the Aerial, or, I don't know, Let It Go, activating the Aerial.
Yeah, I guess we're hoping to, sing Zeus with Ursula and then sing Whole New World and be able to, redeploy and have a little bit of tempo.
It is quite hard to do when on the other side there's a really threatening board going on. We also see a Robin in hand, but I think at this point in the game it's not going to do much.
Oh, it's going to be a really nice ink. That's
an expensive ink.
Yep.
This is the joke I always like doing when I ink enchanted cards. I'm gonna put a few $100 or $1,000 if I'm playing my Cinderella from the Atlanta Challenge.
Yep, and here, throwing 3 damage from the Ariel into the how far I'll go.
Probably finding more songs.
Yeah, I grab your sword.
There you go. And still throwing the damage on to the Vanessa. Well, Ursula Vanessa.
Yep, so there goes the board. Though, at the cost of the opponent's questing power, so still allowing one more turn where those flutes are going to be able to do some work.
Now, we're still going to have the Zeus to remove Ariel, probably, since she has enough damage to be taken care of. Oh, not anymore.
And here comes the Cogsworth.
Yeah, probably the most bothersome part of the blue steel deck. They since it never or almost never goes out questing, except if it's for the win, it generally sticks to the board quite reliably.
Yep. And here we see Robin coming out, so not inexpensive after all.
Interesting. Oh, I think we're trying to get the most out of the hand by just running the Zeus, gaining some lore, just trying to claw our way back into the game.
Yep.
But that Ariel still being on the board is really bothersome. Also, I understand why we would try and just establish the Robin. It's a singer for the whole new world.
Yep. Because you want to be able to redeploy once you've sang that whole new world. You don't want to be stuck with 3-4 inks left or refilling your opponent's hand. Especially not when they have like 12 or 13 inks available.
So here we see the Tamitoa doing its job, just slowly cruising towards the...
Yep. Playing back a popsicle, which...
At
least there's no harem to...
But those popsicles are such good value with the Cogsworth. They heal for 2, but it's way more than just 2.
Yeah. Things to that resist. Oh, and here comes... Here.
You had to summon it.
Yep. Oh, taking out the Fortisphere, though.
I think it's interesting, like I said, because the popsicle is very valuable to be able to heal on a resist +1 board.
Definitely some added value there.
Like, if we want to go questing with that Ariel now, we can heal her, and the Robin is not going to take her down anymore. But anyway, I think like we said earlier, the Robin is just there to be singing about new horizons.
And here, just singing Let It Go with Cogsworth. So it's not going to sing a whole new world after all.
No, it's not.
It's a new fantastic point of view. Oh, and a second Cogsworth coming down.
At this point, what can we hope for? Like, whole new world into whole new world?
I guess. But even then, like, that's still only 2 points from the lore. Trying to mail them out is really the game plan at this point, I guess.
Yeah, because that board is just lethal, right?
Almost, yeah. Because here... If it's not, it's really close to be. 1 dime away. Or 1 or 2 items, maybe. 2, 4, 6... No, that's lethal. That's lethal.
But, like, we're playing it, but we had the other one in hand, so there's no way we can mill at this point.
Yeah, no, we're not going to make it. And the opponent's going to play there. Not going to play theirs either, so...
Yeah. No, they probably have everything they need at this point.
Yep.
We're just playing it out for good sportsmanship's sake, but...
I mean, there's always the opportunity that they miss it.
I always do that in tournaments. Like, sometimes I'm just going to stare down at my opponents and just, like, not show any emotion and go, oh, do you, like, show me you have it. And that's when I will just extend a hand and give the win. Because sometimes they don't see it.
Yeah. An opponent might miss that they can bounce their goat or that they can suicide their Baloo to get that extra 2 lore. So make them do it. Make them have it. Buy that extra turn if they miss it.
Exactly.
So here, Steelsong against what is probably its natural enemy, at least in the beginning of the set, Ruby Sapphire.
Yeah, Ruby Sapphire is probably... No, not probably. I'm gonna be more assertive on this. It's absolute worst matchup. This matchup is... I'm not afraid to say it. It's nigh unwinnable. I've played a lot of games where I felt I was probably able to do stuff against it and not doing a whole lot. Here we see a pretty aggressive hand, which is probably the saving grace, but it might also just run out quite quickly.
Yeah. But there, like, we see Coming out early with the queen, having the blues and the flutes, like we don't have it in hand, but it's in the deck. That might be just enough to shave a win. I think that's what the deck is hoping to do in that matchup.
As mentioned previously, also, this version is tailored a little bit better to the present meta, with the both the Sapphire decks running around, which are really bad matchups in general for Steelsong. So maybe I am being a bit too, I would say, fatalist with the fact with saying that okay, the deck never wins against Ruby Sapphire, but we'll see how it goes here. We have quite a nice board. We have found a flute. No songs yet though, which
No,
is
but a very aggressive start. Already at 8, being able to put down a Baloo, guaranteeing at least another 2. Having the flute in hand for when a song shows its nose. Another Baloo in hand as well for another 2. So, like, Ruby Sapphire doesn't have a lot of turn to react here.
yeah. So and also we won't be seeing a Be Prepared quite yet. They're only on 4 ink. We're probably gonna try and gain a bit more lore before getting our board wiped.
Yeah, and here we see the Ice Cube getting the queen down by 1, and probably a Medusa. Yeah, Medusa taking out that that queen, shaving off 2 lore, 2 questing lore, and the ability to have quality challenges.
Here we see a bit of the pitfall of the deck where we are not really able to ink efficiently this turn. We're still pressing the advantage with the flute that kind of replaces the Baloo questing.
Yep.
We've also found our last ink in Rapunzel. We're gonna play another Baloo, which if we are to get Be Prepared, we're gonna get up to 15, which is not a worst spot to be with the flute on board, but also it's an empty hand. So we're really, really wishing for a whole new world at some point.
At least there's 5 ink down, so like a whole new world is doable if we draw it.
And here we go.
Yep. Be Prepared, bringing it up to 15. 15 to 1 with a flute down. Like, it's still quite a clock with Steelsong running as much as 18 songs in some of its variants.
This is the thing you never want to see in Lorcana. Draw, go.
Here, Hiram probably going to eat a Zeus as soon as next turn starts, but refilling the Ruby Sapphire's hand pretty nicely.
At least the Zeus is a lore. That's the saving grace right now with that flute on the board. We're still able to just press the advantage.
Meanwhile, Ruby Sapphire, lots of ink, lots of card draw. They're able to try to find their answers, try to stabilize. A second flute here.
Yeah. Well, it's okay to take the turn off because now that Zeus is becoming too lore.
Yep.
It's really relevant.
This is now a 3 songs clock, basically.
Yeah. The only thing where it could start becoming a bit precarious is if we draw another flute. Yes, we would be on a 2 song clock, but also not being able to have much ink in the inkwell.
And here the big Sisu coming down. No target for it, but definitely a huge quester. Good target for the Zeus.
Exactly. I think this is what we're gonna spend the Zeus on. And we found the third flute. Okay, I didn't even remember how it played out. Well, at this point, we really, really hope that the next top deck is a song, because we can go Zeus the Sisu, play the last song.
Because the opponent is catching up in lore. They're at 8. They have a ton of ink. They could drop a Tamatoa on us. They could drop a Lucky Dime. This is not where you want to be treading in terms of top decks.
So yeah, those flutes working overtime. This is exactly where they shine in those more grindy matchups. We were talking previously about Ruby Amethyst, where you just want to have the ball keep on rolling.
Yep. And here, the Zeus comes down.
We're gonna remove Sisu, going to 18.
Opponent still having 3 characters on board. So a possibility of 3. So coming up to 11, which is not near enough to put pressure, but against what's basically an empty hand. I think here the graphics don't show that the Lawrence was inked, but it is an empty hand for...
Yeah. Well, you have to if you want to probably stick down a Tinkerbell, which is the top curve of the deck.
Oh, and here we go. And then along came Zeus.
So here, I think it's interesting, going back on what I said at the beginning of the video. This deck is really well tailored for that matchup. Better so than it ever was, because I played earlier versions of that deck in the really beginning of the set 4 metagame, and because I wanted to see if it still had legs, and every time I ran into Ruby Sapphire, I was just like, this is an instant loss. I cannot do anything about it. It was a really bad matchup here. I think the deck kind of came into its own.
Yeah, it is to the point where one of our players at League who had ran Steelsong like since basically day 1 of the game had to walk off of it, switch to Bucky, try a few things, and now is slowly starting to see hope back, especially with some of the spoilers in Set 5 of the deck coming back into some of its glory. So the Set 2 and Set 3 most frequent matchups, Steelsong against Ruby Amethyst.
The blast from the past.
Yeah. Not as popular in Set 4, although for those who were playing Best of 2, definitely something that was a little more frequent.
It was my choice of deck in Set 2. I had a very good tailored version of Steelsong to go against Ruby Amethyst. I still feel the deck is quite strong against the matchup, as it's going to be showcased here in a few moments.
Yep.
So, I really think the pivotal point where the deck gets so much better is the flutes and the whole new worlds that just give you the option to see a lot of cards and also disrupt really well what the opponent is doing in their hand.
And here we can see already the 2 key pieces in hand, the flute and the whole new world with Ariel. So everything should be on board for this game for Steelsong.
And it is worth to note here, probably it was said earlier in the segment of the presentation, this version is the version that finished second in Fort Worth.
Yep.
So I was in Fort Worth. I played against a bunch of Steelsongs. The deck definitely is gaining back in popularity and traction now that Bucky has been eroded.
And one of the key things that we figured out in testing is that the current Ruby Amethyst is not geared towards beating Steelsong. It's geared towards Bucky and Diablo. It's geared for the aggro decks. But the Queen on turn 2 at 4 strength, definitely a big problem for the Flynn route, for the Brawl and Meta Medusa. Like it has a harder time finding its targets for removal early.
And I want to just mention here, we saw with the Ariel, it seemed like it was what we call a whiff. So we decided not to take the whole new world that we saw in there. We already have 2 in hand. We don't sometimes, and it is very real. You want to play a game of really like milling out your opponent with the whole new world. So you don't want to get clogged on them, especially since one of them is going to probably get lost into the first one. We decided to put the other one on the bottom, so it gives us this option if we get really down into the deck to be able to just probably mill out the player for.
And here, that turn 4, grab your sword, just being able to clean out the Flynn Rider, force the opponent into taking out their Mim, having a pretty empty board overall. Let's see if that Mim is going to go for the Robin, fearing the shift, or for the Ariel. Robin's the target here.
So it was kind of a gamble, I would say. You never know if they have the shift target in hand or not. Right here is going to pay off a lot for the Steelsong player to have kept their good singer on board. Like I said, I think it is very lucky.
Yeah. Inking the Ariel.
Gaining the lore right away
Yep.
off the flute. And here we see...
But yeah, as a Ruby Amethyst, you have to decide what's more likely, that they have a whole new world or that they have the Shift Robin on that turn 4. In this case, wrong decision.
It happens. That's why we play these games. We play with hidden information.
Yep.
So here we have a really, really nice hand, in my opinion. We drew into a lot of more songs for the flute to gain lore into. We see a Baloo that is very good at protecting the board. I remember hearing the player in Fort Worth. I definitely cannot remember the name. We'd have to look it up. That said that Baloo was one of his favorite cards ever, and I can understand why. It does a great job of just being kind of pesky at protecting the board, gaining lore no matter what.
Yep. And here you have the full removal suite, really. You have the board cleaner with the Grab Your Sword, the single target removal with Let the Storm, and with Zeus. And if there was a Maui, you even have the World's Greatest Criminal Mind. So you really are ready for anything the opponent can throw. And here we see like the World's Greatest on Sisu, and then probably I would expect the just another Ariel.
That's fine. Here we're not very threatened by the Flynn on board. We have a lot of good ways now to deal with it. We're having 2 Let the Storm Rage on. I think it was quite wise to use the World's Greatest Criminal Mind on the Sisu before the hand gets too small and is not able to do much with it, except being ink, which it generally is. I know this version runs 3 of them,
Yep.
which is a lot in my opinion. It would probably not be my choice of number in it. I usually go for 1. Sometimes when I go over 60 cards, I try and include another one for just offsetting that high uninkable rate. As you see in the hand now, all uninkables. You understand that the deck runs quite a bit on uninkables.
A lot of those do draw you cards back, so...
This is the saving grace of these uninkables here. Also here, having the 2 flutes is so backbreaking for Ruby Amethyst.
Oh yeah.
Like
2 flutes backed by a few songs. Like, there's a clock there.
Yeah, and even more songs. We see the inclusion from set 4, Ursula Vanessa. That is a really, really good singer in that deck. The only thing it doesn't sing is Grab Your Sword in Whole New World.
Yep. And here, the opponent forced to be prepared, giving 2 lures to the Steelsong player, because that blue... The only way to prevent that is, like, the blue straight to ink removal or something like we don't talk about Bruno. But standard removal will give 2 ink, so... Even when removing, you're still giving tempo to the Steelsong player.
Here it's an interesting line, trying to rebuild the board quite early. Just to mention, as a rule consideration, we could have probably just cycled that Let the Storm Rage on nothing, and going up to 14 is really, really aggressive, in my opinion. We still can keep the songs for later on. Being able to quest with the Lawrence, probably deploy the song, because here we just can like
Zeus, quest for 2.
Yeah, we can just keep all the songs at all time in hand, even if you don't have a target for them. You're gonna gain the ink, so the game is pretty much just over here.
We have lethal in hand without the Ruby Amethyst player knowing, because there's literally 4 lore in 2 turn in hand, so and they don't have hand removal. So at 0 ink, 1 rabbit on the board, at this point, whether they know it or not, the game is quite literally over. Here, Let the Storm, 2 points. Drawing a big queen.
Inking it, and just keeping the
Yep.
world's greatest criminal mind that is gonna hit nothing into a win. So this is kind of an intricacy with the game of Lorcana. You have to resolve as much as possible. You can play songs without their legal targets, and it still works.
Yep. And here, just Ruby Amethyst player hoping we don't have a song, trying to find somewhat of a counterplay, putting down the castle, putting the rabbit on the fox on the castle, inking, hoping there's going to be one more turn to find answers.
It's just wishful thinking here, I think.
Yeah,
you cannot wish for a deck called Steelsong to not have songs, right?
It happens.
It does.
But in this case, yeah, the flutes did what they're supposed to do. And just for the flex, taking out the queen, singing World's Greatest for nothing, and claiming that 20 lore, ending the game. Just a clean run out against Ruby Amethyst.
So this is really exactly how the matchup should go. It's just a perfect showcase of how it's gonna go from now on. Now that Bucky is not it will not be in the meta anymore.
The good news for Ruby Amethyst is that it's a very flexible deck. If Steelsong were to become one of the dominant decks again, it will adapt. It will find answers. It has answers. So all hope is not lost yet.
They always came back, no matter what. Every set
Yep.
after set, they're there.